Our fourth and final presentation of this afternoon, is by Dr. Donald A. Rakow. He is an associate professor of horticulture at Cornell University, where he's also the director of the Nature RX program. He served as the executive director of Cornell Botanic Gardens from 1996 to 2014. Dr. Rakow has co-authored several books, including Nature RX, Improving College Student Mental Health, the seminal text Public Garden Management, as well as an upcoming book, Public Gardens and the Creation of Livable Cities. I know Dr. Rakow through his work as a longstanding writer, speaker, and contributor to the American Public Garden Association, where he has worked tirelessly to help advance our field. Please help me in welcoming Dr. Rakow.
You know, we live in a very difficult time, and the range of speakers today and what each of us have had to share really does give me hope for the future. So this has been a very uplifting day, and I really appreciate all of you hanging in there to the end. So I'm going to somewhat abridge my remarks. I'm going to skip the 90-minute presentation I was planning on doing and actually sticking to the 17 minutes that have been allocated. To build on what Kim Bailey was saying, all people, every single person on this planet deserves to spend time in nature and benefits from time in nature. So a number of previous speakers have outlined the benefits of nature and what the author Florence Williams calls the nature fix. We all need that nature fix. So one research project that I'm involved with, which is funded by USDA NIFA, I'm collaborating with a research scientist at the College of William and Mary, Dr. Dorothy Ibis. And Dorothy and I are trying to identify what are the primary barriers that are keeping young urban people of color from spending more time in parks and green spaces. We have worked with community leaders who work with teens in 5 mid-sized New York and Virginia cities, and we have come to realize from the data that we've collected that it's not just a matter of how close by is the nearest park, that there are a variety of social, psychological, physical, and attitudinal issues that create and perpetuate barriers. As a second phase of this project, we're going to be interviewing leaders of nature-serving organizations that have overcome one or more of these barriers. And then we'll be developing a matrix of barriers by solutions so that we can be presenting to the public a series of best practices so that the engagement of all young people in natural sites, in green areas, can be increased. It's also important to start the nature habit as early in life as possible. Another project, research project that I'm involved with, colleagues and I at Cornell are looking at how we can positively impact the engagement of elementary school students in nature experiences. In a project that we're calling Healthy Kids, Healthy Futures, we're looking at what are the barriers to actually introduce nature explorations into the regular school day. And one such nature experiences have been introduced, how are they impacting these young people educationally, socially, and attitudinally? Because we want kids from a very early age to adapt a series of what we call environmental attitudes. That is truly understanding and caring about the environment. What we've been discovering in the interviewing that we've been conducting in this project is that it's absolutely essential to get the buy-in of the leaders, i.e., in most schools, the principals and assistant principals. That's essential. But it's not enough because so many teachers have a basic discomfort with nature. And if the teacher is not comfortable about going out in nature, then she or he is not going to be encouraging their students to go out in nature. So the postdoc who's working with us on this project, Amy Patchen, has developed both a toolkit and a workshop to work with teachers to make them more comfortable about nature, to describe, as a previous speaker had suggested, what risks may be involved, but also to really emphasize the benefits that can be achieved by spending time in a nearby park or natural area. Other colleagues and I are very focused on getting all college-age students, regardless of their majors or their backgrounds or their ethnicities or their socioeconomic class, getting all college students to spend more time in nature. Because a previous speaker talked about the huge benefits, the psychological, the physiological, the attitudinal, and the well-being benefits of spending time in nature. Cornell, like many universities, is a very high-stress academic environment for our students. And we know that if we can get those students to spend some time out in nature each week, that it will benefit their well-being. So several years ago, colleagues and I were meeting around the coffee pot where great ideas happen, and we're attending a day-long conference at Cornell, and we somehow got to talking about the fact that we have what is often rated as one of the most beautiful campuses in America, and yet we have one of the most highly stressed and psychologically troubled student bodies of any colleges or universities in America. And we felt there must be some way of marrying the beauty of this campus with the well-being of our student body. And that really is what served as the germ of the idea for what came to be Nature RX at Cornell. As part of Nature RX, we have been collaborating with the professionals at our Cornell Health Clinic. Now, just about every student visits the health clinic over the course of the year, whether it's because of a cold or a broken arm or a psychologically related problem that they're experiencing. So we felt that given that all students are going through those doors, couldn't we use that as an opportunity to encourage more students to spend time in nature? We've been working at this for a number of years and are really, really excited that in the current academic year, we have now made Nature RX part of a student's electronic health record. So as you can see up there, one of the boxes that the health professional can check is Nature RX has been discussed and recommended. And this past academic year, that is the 18-19 academic year, 758 Nature RX prescriptions were handed out to students. What we're even more excited about in the current 2019-2020 academic year is that in working with Cornell Health, we have now developed an anonymous and confidential survey that goes out automatically to every student who has had that box checked. So now we are starting to amass a body of data that will tell us when students are actually prescribed time in nature, are they in fact increasing the frequency with which they're going out into natural areas? And if they indicate that they are, how is that impacting their stress levels, their social life, even their academic performance? So we're just tweaking and revising the survey that the students get. It will now be in a Qualtrics form, which greatly facilitates that. So by the end of this academic year, we should have the beginning of a body of data that really looks at how nature prescriptions impact college-aged students. Another component of our Nature RX program at Cornell is our website, naturerx.cornell.edu, in which we describe and portray 16 wonderful natural and landscaped sites on the Cornell campus. The reason we created this website is to help students get over the mindset of, oh yeah, I know nature is good for me, but I don't have enough time for that. This is all GPS located, so wherever you are on the Cornell campus, it gives you walking directions to a natural or landscape site within 5 minutes of your current location. So you can't use that excuse that you don't have enough time. And in fact, directly next to the Cornell Health Center is a beautiful rocky glen. We have also developed a course called Nature RX, intended primarily for first and second year students. Some of you may recognize on the right-hand side of that photo, Dr. Robert Czar, who was the original developer of the Park RX America program and serves as the medical director. We were very fortunate that Dr. Czar and his family were visiting us in early September, so we had him lead a forest therapy walk for our Nature RX students. We have two goals with this class. The first is just to expose our first and second year students to the wide variety of natural and landscaped areas that we have, both on campus and within Tompkins County. The second goal of this class is a little more in-depth. We want each of the students, through prescribed readings, through critical reflections, and through experiences like this, to develop more personal and intimate relationships with nature, relationships that will last them their lifetime. And by the way, Both Cornell and UC Davis now offer Nature RX classes. So this past fall, after both the first class and then again after the final class at both Cornell and Davis, we had the students fill out surveys about their attitudes toward and the frequency with which they go out in nature. And we're just crunching that data right now, and we'll be writing that up shortly. So, if we know that spending time in nature is good for us, how do we know how much time we should be prescribing? So, a scoping review that Cornell colleagues and I recently had published in Frontiers in Psychology focused around the question, what is the minimum time dose to positively impact the mental health of college-aged students? We started with about 14,000 papers, winnowed that down to 14. And in those 14 papers, we discovered that as little as 10 to 20 minutes 2 to 3 times a week can positively impact salivary cortisol levels, heart rate, and a number of other factors. So I invite any of you to look for that paper to read about it in more depth. I'm also...
Can you make the connection? It's not there.
It's not there?
It's not on there.
Oh, it is not on there, but...
I just see the fingers.
Right. The paper is entitled Minimum Time Dose in Nature to Positively Impact the Mental Health of College-Age Students and How to Measure It. And it's in the most recent issue of Frontiers in Psychology. So finally, I'm very interested in the issue of what I call intentionality. And the reason I'm showing you this photo, this is what's called Trip Hammer Bridge. It is the pedestrian bridge that all of the first year students who live in North Campus take every day to get to the academic part of campus. On one side of Trip Hammer Bridge is beautiful Beebe Lake and the surrounding woodlands and Trip Hammer Falls. And on the other side is this magnificent gorge. As you all know, Ithaca is gorgeous. So an undergraduate student who's working with me is going to be conducting a study this spring in which he does 2 things. First, he will just observe behavior of students as they're crossing the bridge. Are they staring at their iPhone? Are they talking on their iPhone? Are they conversing with friends? Or are they actually observing the natural beauty around them? And that's really what I mean by intentionality. Then he will ask each student after they've crossed the bridge to complete a short survey that looks at the degree of awareness of the natural environment around them. So my time is almost up. I want to mention one final thing. In addition to heading up the Nature RX program at Cornell, we have also developed a nationwide plus Canada network of Nature RX institutions. We call it the Campus Nature RX Network. And we started it exactly a year ago. We already have 22 campuses that are part of it. And this May 29th, we will be holding the first ever Campus Nature RX Symposium based at Cornell. And we're very fortunate that we also will have Dr. Michelle Kondo as our keynote speaker. So we invite you to either come to Cornell or to participate in that virtually. Thank you.
Thank you.